Welcome back to Communication Steroids Podcast. If you're counting, this is number 16. If you're not, it doesn't matter.
Still is number 16, whether you're counting or not.
And that's Roger Pike.
I am Roger Pike, and who are you?
I'm Tim Gonzo Gordon. Let's talk today, Roger, about beginning speakers. We've had some folks request some information on beginning speakers. What does it take to become a speaker?
So you want to be a speaker.
Yeah, so you want to be a speaker. So that's what you decided to title this little episode here? Because we always like to put a title. You notice we're on YouTube, right? You of course have seen that.
I have seen this on YouTube.
We try and title the episode.
Right.
So this one will be, So You Want to Be a Speaker.
Yeah, there you go. Well, and it's been so long since I started becoming a speaker that I'm just going to tell you basically my thoughts are as opposed to my personal experience, because frankly I don't remember back then.
Well, last episode, of course, the podcast, you talked a bit about when you started in high school and debate and on to Lewis and Clark College on a scholarship. So you've been speaking since you were a teenager.
I've been speaking for 30 years. But 40 years.
40 years.
40 years. I've been speaking for 40 years. But I guess the first question that I'd ask, if someone said to me, hey, I want to be a speaker, the first question I'd ask is why?
Why? What makes you say you want to be a speaker? Answer that question.
And the reason that I ask why is because I would start you in different ways. I would mentor you in different ways. I would coach you in different ways depending upon what your goal was. If your goal was to become a competitive public speaker, I would take you down one path. If your goal was to improve your employability or your promotability at work by becoming a better counselor at work or a better speaker at work or give better meetings at work, facilitate better meetings at work, I would take you down a slightly different path. So the first question I would ask is, what are you hoping to get out of it? Why do you want to be a better speaker?
And some of those things you might consider would be, do you want to improve your presentation skills overall? Maybe you've done a couple things and you think, oh, geez, I'm really horrible at this. I need to learn. I need to learn what I'm doing up there. I don't know what I'm doing. And there are certain skills you can learn to do that. Do you want to talk about your hobby? Are you passionate about something? Do you have something you just want to get up? Do you want to share your passion? Do you want to do something like run for office? Maybe run for city council, and you've got to give presentations.
So what do you want to do? I mean, I've got to, we talked about it in model trains. I mean, there are some people who love model trains, and they go to train shows, and gosh, they wish that they could just feel comfortable getting up in front of all of their peers at the model train shows and talking about a technique that they've developed for creating grass on the hillside, and they just don't feel comfortable doing it. They can't do it.
Do you want to improve your employability? That's a good thing to do. You may be looking for a job as like a public affairs person. You've got a lot of the background that would get you there, but really the key thing maybe in this position or this career advancement would be you're going to be giving a lot of presentations about the company you're working for. That would really help.
Well, I can recall giving a seminar for state government. State government contacted me and said, Roger, we want you to prepare a seminar for our mid-level management that we consider to be potentially upper-level management. And we want them to have better presentation skills, particularly better able to handle the media. And we want you to give a presentation on how to do that. And so, and employers are the same. They want the people who are in their upper middle and upper management levels to be excellent communicators across the board. And if you're not a good communicator, you will improve your promotability by becoming one.
Now, I think there's really kind of two distinct areas of public speaking. One is everything we just talked about. To improve yourself for various reasons. Maybe you want to share your passion as a hobby. You want to improve your employability, all that stuff. You just want to learn better. I think there's the other path is becoming a paid public speaker as a career. And that, I think, is not something you can decide. And it's rare, I would think, without going through a lot of the other stuff that we just talked about.
Very, very rare. And I think that in order to do that, you'd have to follow an almost completely different career path, and you would really have to immerse yourself in the minutia of becoming a stellar public speaker. And frankly, it may be something that's a little bit like becoming an actor, not something that you just work to become good at, but something that maybe you have some innate talent for.
Or you just are so devoted to it, and you're stuck on it so much that you just do it. Like you find a place to speak virtually every night.
Right.
And you may live in a city that allows you to find those avenues. And that's another thing to look at is if you want to become a public speaker, you want to find places to speak. So what kind of things would you look at, Roger?
No matter what kind of public speaker that you want to be, and no matter what kind of public speaking you want to do, whether it's to improve your promotability or to become more comfortable speaking in groups about a passion that you have, or even running for office, there are some common things that you can do. The first common thing that you can do is to learn the basics of public speaking. Learn how to organize a speech. Learn how to write a speech. Just understanding those two things, the rule of three, just understanding the rule of three will help you immensely in improving your public presentation skills. To have a product that you know is a good product, that is a good speech, is one of the very first steps to becoming a good speaker. Having a good speech. In order to be a good speaker, you must have a good speech.
And if you're going to be presenting yourself in any fashion, you have to realize that that is a product that you are selling. Whether you're selling it because you want them to just give you an arena to speak in, or whether they're going to pay you money, an honorarium, or what sort of ever fee you're going to work out, it is a product that you are selling them. So you've got to realize that you're trying to get this the best product that you can.
You don't go into a meeting, you don't have a staff meeting, and call your employee your reports in. That's what they call it these days in the corporate world. Is you don't have employees, you have reports. People who report to you. If you call your reports in for a staff meeting, you don't want to go in unprepared. You want to have a clear goal, an organized presentation, and a clear takeaway. And that's the same thing for any speech. You want to have an introduction in which you talk about what you're going to do. Then you want to do it. You want to have the body, those things that you want to get done. And usually you're best if you have three things you want to get done. The rule of three stands no matter what you do. And then you have a conclusion in which you tell people what you've just done. And it's that basic structure exists for any kind of speech. Then once you have a product, you want to do something with that product before you ever go into the actual event. And that thing is practice, practice, practice.
Now, let's talk about just a couple of places where you've got to the point where you think, okay, I want to go out and I want to get some experience. What kind of places would you look?
Well, there are a lot of things that you can do. The first thing, of course, is family and friends. You can get them to listen to it. But then when
it gets old after about the third time.
It does.
But that's a good place to start. What the heck?
But then once you've gotten to the point where you want to leave the nest, you've been flapping your wings there in the nest for a while, but you think, Lord, if I just take one step off the edge of the nest, I'm going to fly. Once you get to that point, well, then you can go to like civic groups, civic organizations, service clubs,
Rotary, Kiwanis, Elks.
They're constantly looking for speakers.
Got meetings. Yeah. There are usually Chamber of Commerces in virtually every city. And, you think of this. Let's say, like we live in Salem, which is a metro area. It's got about 15 or 20 smaller towns around you. Mm-hmm. We could go to Silverton Chamber of Commerce or Staten or Sublimity or Almsville or Independence. And you think about all the avenues that you have where you're at to find opportunities to speak.
And I'll bet somebody there wants to hear about model trains.
Wouldn't be surprised. No matter what you've got to talk about, you can probably find an audience. And once you've started to do that, make it known with the people you're talking to. Get there early, talk to folks, stay late, ask for referrals. Say, hey, I'm looking to get more experience. Do you have anybody that I might speak in front of? So networking, once you get into it, is going to really, really help you.
I'm going to tell you something. When I was competing in public speaking, even then, even though I was a serious public speaker, a competitive public speaker who was winning at regional levels, even then I would go to Kiwanis clubs, Rotary clubs, before I would go into competition, and I would give my speech there. We even had a phrase for it in the competitive world. We called it campaigning a speech. Yeah. Before you ever gave it in competition, you would campaign it in the service clubs.
Well, I want to wrap up the podcast right now. Roger, I think that was some great stuff to pass along to folks that say to yourself, I want to be a speaker.
Well, I hope so. So you want to be a speaker. I'm Roger Pike.
And I'm Tim Gordon. This is the Communication Steroids Podcast.